Hi, and welcome back to this episode of The Feeding Hour. In this episode, we talk about season 2. We talk about our reflections from season 1 and our vision for season 2. And we talk about Dr. Greer Kirshenbaum's book, Nurture Revolution. Thanks so much for listening and enjoy.
Welcome to the Feeding Hour Season 2. Abby, I'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections on how you think Season 1 went and your hopes for Season 2.
Hello, Catherine. I'm so excited to be here for season 2. My reflections as I think about season 1, I just feel so grateful that we did this. And I feel my hopes and goals were to try to provide information and just kind of a community feel for moms and new parents. It kind of, when I listen back to episodes, it reminds me of how I felt when I was pregnant. And I just felt, wow, hearing all these stories makes me feel I just know the different struggles that people go through, and it just makes you feel less alone. And okay, if whatever struggles I come across, there's ways to get help. People have worked through this before. And, there's a lot of through lines between different people's experiences, but I think everyone brings a different perspective on how they got through it. And, yeah, I just loved hearing everyone's stories. And I loved the episodes too with me and you. So we're hoping to do a few more of those for season 2, just to really delve deep onto our expertise and, just tips that we think could help new moms and new parents in our book club episodes today. So in general, just really grateful for season 1 and excited to keep building upon that for season 2 and hear more mom stories.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
What about you? I want to hear your reflections.
Pretty sweet. For me, I put some notes down, but I think as a lactation newbie, it was just interesting to be able to hear the variety of experiences that women go through and the struggles. We began the season saying that percent of women don't persist in breastfeeding despite a desire to, and then we got to hear for the rest of the season, the why behind it and the struggles women actually encounter, whether it be, societal, relational, physical, physiological, whatever it may be. And I think about all of the women that had the courage to come on and share their story with us. I always think about Lisa.
She was amazing. And she was older, so she was reflecting a long time ago with her
Yes.
experience.
Yes. So that was episode 9, Lisa, and
How do you know?
she ended up feeding 3 babies at once because her sister passed away, and
And she had twins.
yes, twins. Her sister had twins, and she passed away. So Lisa was feeding those babies, and it is amazing to hear people's resilience and what they go through,
Yeah.
and why they are the way they are today.
And a few women who, they got sick or their babies got sick and they got through that. There were so many really inspiring stories.
Yes, yes. Well, Jacqueline too, who worked so hard. I remember her talking about the syringe after her delivery, feeding with the syringe and feeding with the cup and feeding with the spoon. She would just wanted so much to give her son the best foundation that she could. And I think that a theme for me of last season was women's persistence in feeding their children and meeting their goals that are related to feeding.
And you know what I tell moms all the time is I say one of the number one factors, besides getting support, but one of the number one factors is how bad you want it. I mean, I think about myself and how much I doubted if I was going to be able to breastfeed my son when we were 2 months in and still not directly latching efficiently. And I wish someone just told me that. You want it so bad, you're going to do it. You're going to, and of course, you might have to make accommodations, you might have to supplement, you might have to do different things, but I don't know. I feel when you really, really are persistent with something, you're going to work through the challenges somehow.
Yes, that's okay to mention. Now it's funny we talk about how personal we want to get in the podcast.
Yes.
But in my course right now, we talk about self-efficacy is the number one predictor of if you persist in breastfeeding or not. So do you believe that you can breastfeed? And that's why.
And trust your milk supply and yeah.
Yes. And pumping in the hospital actually isn't that helpful because you're producing very little. And so then you're like, I can't.
And then you start doubting your milk.
Yeah.
Yes.
But hand expressing is so helpful because you're like, I am literally getting this milk and it's amazing, and that those managing expectations and knowing that you can breastfeed is the huge things that
I love that you brought that up because and today I had a home visit with a new mom, 1 week old, and I was just amazed at her trust in her body and her baby. I mean, granted, they've had a great, I was, you don't need me, like, you're good. I was helping her with figuring out pumping for when that eventually happens. But like, she was latching, she was just on demand, cue based, but she had a really good support around her. Her mom helping her work through the challenges, like learn how to get a wide latch. Like, I feel she just had like the best case scenario of support and then also determination. Like, she was just, I'm going to figure out how to do this. Like, I'm going to just keep feeding this baby. And it was so beautiful to see. And I just love when I see people kind of, even if they are having struggles or not, like just have that desire and like persistence to work through it.
Yes, yeah. And we said in the first, I think it was the first episode ever, getting through those first 2 weeks,
Yes.
you're probably not going to quit. If you don't quit in the first 2 weeks, you're probably going to keep going until until you want to
Yeah.
quit.
Yeah. You got to get through and get your good supply in during that time. That's
Yeah.
just the hard part. If
Yeah.
the baby's not doing it, if they're not at their best of their ability, then you have to kind of help them out with that. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for season 2.
I know. So what are you looking forward to in season
I'm
2?
just looking forward to nerding out more with you. Like, I feel like we did I love both types of episodes. I love the ones where we just talk about certain topics and go deep on them from like an intellectual side, but also when we just hear mom stories and get to hear the personal piece. I think it's really cool that we're doing both with the podcast, because there's kind of everything in motherhood. Like, you want to hear other people's stories. You learn so much from community, but then there's so much need also for just education and being able to just pop it in your ear. I mean, I listen to so many cool moms that I admire and have expertise on certain things. And it makes me feel I know what I'm doing when I listen to some therapists talk about how to deal with tantrums or things like that. So I hope we can be that for people. And we have some really cool guests that are coming on, some friends and some people with unique stories. So I'm excited for those. I'm excited for our new little mics getting more professional. Look at us go.
Hello.
Hello, hello. So yeah, and just to get to see you again. I feel like this summer I was missing our chats.
I know, right? Yeah, I agree. I think it's such a privilege that I get to come on here and hear women's stories, and that you essentially, I'm watching a consultation or listening to and engaging with a consultation. You have someone sharing their story, and then you get to give feedback. And with what little I knew about lactation, got to join in, and now
Now
getting my
you're learning.
CLP. Yeah, yeah. This is so awesome. And now I'll have something to contribute, but also just learning how to listen and to be a good listener. And to be like, sometimes you just need to shut your mouth.
Me too. Yeah, I always need to work on that.
Yeah. And so I'm grateful to have the platform to invite women on and share their stories and help each other and educate. Yeah.
Yes, me too. And I'm so excited for you're graduating soon and getting done with this lactation course. I just feel it's awesome getting to see you along this journey as well.
Thank you. And I'm learning so much from you and from the podcast. And today we wanted to kind of go back to our roots when we talked about this idea of infant mental health, which was, I think, episode 3 of season 1.
Love that
And
one.
yes, and we found a book that we actually talk about in the next episode with the sleep specialist we have on.
Mhm.
It's called The Nurture Revolution.
Ooh, love it. Love it.
Yes. And we felt it summed up sort of our whole attachment-based feeding concept. Very good. But looked at it more holistically. So I'll just dive in, and then Abby, you ask
I'll
questions.
ask you more. Yeah, so this book I haven't read yet, but I'm so excited to read. And so we wanted to do one of our book club episodes to just pick Catherine's brain on it as she read it and then just have a conversation on it.
Yes.
So what are your takeaways, I guess, what's the general premise of the book or her idea? I've definitely listened to her on a few podcasts. She's very
Yes. Yeah, so it's written by Dr. Greer Kirshenbaum, and that's what kind of fired it for me was her. The idea is she's a neuroscientist. She did her postdoctoral fellow at Columbia University in integrative neuroscience, but she's also a doula and a sleep scientist.
amazing.
Yes. So like girl, woman is
Clinical and got it all going on. She knows everything.
yes. And so it's based on what we already talked about in that third season, infant mental health, but just we have preventative health care, right? Exercise, eating well, drinking water, getting some,
Vitamins, nutrients. Yeah.
yes, all are good preventative health care for adults. Well, what Dr. Greer posits is that we can have preventative mental health care. And it can start in infancy and really in the womb, should we so look at it that way. And yeah, so she talks about the best way to prevent mental health disorders is this a concept of nurture. So providing our babies with foundational healthy neural development, that they have a stable caregiver that provides them nurture throughout their life, but especially in that explosive neural development period
0 to 3.
with, yes, 0 to 3. And she says 0 to 3, 0 to 5, but that's the framework of the book is why nurture, what's the basis of it, and essentially she argues that it's foundational in mental health, preventing mental health disorder and just establishing mental health in general.
And it's obviously, we all know how bad the mental health crisis is and how many people struggle with anxiety and depression and many different things. And it's, if we can just give our babies or our 0 to 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds, this preventative medicine, why would we not do it? We just have to prioritize that. And it's so rewarding in your relationship with them as well.
Yeah, yes. And that's the best part is she makes it so digestible. So she starts out the book with sort of going through certain myths to do with nurture and nature and this idea that sort of, I think it was a generational thing at least. I can only speak for myself, but that, if we nurture children too much, we will spoil them 0 to 5. And she essentially combats certain myths with research.
Does she talk about that study where I know there's a study where they looked at how mothers responded to their babies, and basically the mothers with the most over dramatic lovey-dovey nurture, that was 10% of moms or something, and it's like those kids are the ones that like did the best like 20 years later.
Yes, the
I
still face.
love that study. What is
Yes,
it called? Oh, the still face. Is
face
that the same
experiment.
study?
Yes. And if you want to cry, you can look up on YouTube still face experiment, and it's this mom interacting with her baby, and then she stops interacting. And you can watch the baby try and try and try to get her mom's attention again. And you can see after a certain amount of time, the baby gives up. And so that's what kind of our basis of the attachment theory is this still face. I mean, among other things, many other things, but this idea that babies keep trying and then eventually they give up, and that's what kind of gives us
I think about that with phones. Like, I mean, obviously we all are trying to probably do less screen time, but like if you're distracted on your phone around your baby, like I have noticed that like my daughter will like swat it away and want my attention, rightfully so.
right. I'm like, I kind of want to switch to a flip phone. Children.
Exactly. Or just a lot of people lock it away. Like I try to do that. Like I'll just go plug it in and like I'm with my kids for these 3 hours. I'm not gonna look at it.
I like that.
But okay, but the study I was talking about is I think a different one that
Oh,
it's that like they were observing because it was a longitudinal study where they were like, okay, these moms were like okay with, or maybe not that responsive. The middle moms were like kind of responsive, like whatever, and the other moms were like super like kissy, lovey, like kind of like a ridiculous amount of it of like I guess responsiveness or just like affectionate nurture, like high nurture. And they looked at those kids throughout their lives, like 20 years. And the kids that had the most overly affectionate mothers had better mental health and better like careers and better everything. I was
wow.
like, I need to look up. But I know this. Because that's like a motivational thing that I think in my head when I'm like, I don't know, like today Jacques was like asking for like 5 million extra hugs when I dropped him off at his second day at his new class. And like, I was like, this is a good thing. Like that he like wants all this, like extravagant love or whatever.
Well,
Um,
yeah, let's link it in the show notes. We'll find
okay,
it
okay.
after and then we'll put it below.
Yes.
But it is really interesting. Um, because well, first she talks about like why does this matter, right? Because myth number one is infants don't remember anything. And so she goes into like implicit memory and explicit memory and how implicit memory is what makes up our hindbrain. And so essentially our triggers,
Yeah.
our reactions to things, that is laid down in 0 to 5, right? And so we actually remember everything, just no.
Implicitly. Yes.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that makes sense because they say that early 0 to 5, they're borrowing your nervous system, you're co-regulating with them. So it makes sense. It's okay, they're not going to remember it, but they're going to remember that they were soothed. And yeah, I feel that's such good motivation for new parents because I feel it's kind of demoralizing if people are, well, they're not going to remember anyway. It's okay. And it's no, they're going to remember everything that you do. They're going to remember the feeling and yeah, the comfort and all of that implicitly.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
that's beautiful and also a responsibility. And so
Pressure. Yeah.
she does a really good job at, if we're going to nurture the child, we need to nurture the mom. And what does it look like to
Wow.
nurture the primary caregiver, but typically it's the mom. What does it look like to nurture the mom? And I think it's important too. How is this relevant to feeding? Well, feeding is such a way to provide nurture, and it's not the only way to provide nurture.
Right.
Touch, is a huge way to provide
Yeah.
nurture. But in nursing, you're providing both touch and nourishment.
And responsiveness. It's a communication, between you and your baby.
Yes.
And
Yes.
even with bottle feeding or when they start solids, it's all responsiveness. You're building a relationship to show them that they can trust you, that you're gonna teach them how to feed themselves, literally keep themselves alive.
And if you think about it, like if you're responsive in infancy, through providing good nutrition and just developing those positive neural networks, then even after 5 or maybe after 3, they're able to communicate better. You have a better relationship. So it's when you have that good foundation, then they're like, hey, mom, can I go outside rather than being, hey, and running outside,
Yeah.
you can
They
have
trust you.
yes, yeah, there's that trust and there's that language comes from the brain, So you have that healthy brain to be able to use words, find the right words, put them in a sentence and say them out loud.
Yes.
So yeah,
Love
that
that.
was it. That was
That's a good myth. That's a really good myth because I think a lot of people probably still believe that to this day that they don't really remember anything till they're older, and they do in a different way.
right, right,
Still
exactly.
matters. All those years matter, and in
Yes,
fact matter a lot. I've seen before if you get 0 to 3 right, then you're kind of on a good path.
yeah,
Wow, it's he said it's a lot of like, if I can just really try to be present and give them these good experiences in these years. It also grows you as a caregiver.
yes. Yeah, and right, it's similar to breastfeeding. You're like, okay, once you get through those first 2
Early.
weeks, you're kind of gonna make it. It's the same thing. If you can do the first 3 years right, 3 to 5 years, you're gonna have a baby that's set up for
And
success.
it sets you up for like I can see now that my son's turning 4, so and we're kind of out of that. And like I can see how like everything I learned in those 3 years is like how to hold boundaries and like how to be loving and firm at the same time and like all those things like you probably need that when you have like a teenager. Like you need that the whole time. And like you said, you need the trust. You need the relationship built in.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay,
Um,
but don't let me sidetrack you. Keep going on the
okay, well, there's 30 minutes, I
Oh
think
my God.
I mean,
Give your favorite ones, your
I
favorite
know,
food.
no, I wrote down my favorites. We're not gonna go through all of them. Okay, 3. Babies can and need to learn to self-soothe, which means this is a myth that they can go from a state of high stress to a state of safety. And that gets to what you were talking about, that babies borrow your brain, which Dr. Kirshenbaum talks about that like babies don't have the capacity to self-soothe. Like, it's asking me to speak Italian. I don't.
Like, I just don't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how to do that.
No, yeah. It's like, and what we're seeing when they stop making attempts at getting any soothing is, again, them giving up.
Just realizing they're smart. They're, well, why would I keep crying if they're not going to come?
Right. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm not going to waste my energy. I'm just going to conserve it now.
Then what are they learning about you as a caregiver? Like, or what are they learning about the world? Like, if that happens all the time for them. Like, of course, attachment is also forgiving. Like, you need to take care of yourself too, but like, there's a way to do both. And I how she talks about that too with the whole like nurturing the mother and like the village.
Yeah. Yeah. And right. I think even when we talked about last season in the first couple episodes, like, we want to provide the ideal. You know what I mean? We want to provide just the information and the knowledge, and then it is people's responsibility to just take the information for what it is, and based on that information.
But for me, it's always motivating. Even if I hear a podcast talking about something, how to handle something, and I know that I didn't do that good of a job, but that's still motivating for me next time to be, okay, I'm going to hold the boundary better or not, yell or whatever the thing is.
That's it. Okay, this one I feel so totally dovetails with something I'm learning right now. I need swing seats and containers to take care of my baby. My baby needs lots of classes and socialization to thrive. And the reality is, the sensory experiences from my body are the only thing my baby needs.
I have a proof. I literally have baby worn Remy for her whole entire life, and she is walking at 10 months. They do not need containers. They just need to be on the floor or being held.
Oh my gosh, I learned this yesterday, so you probably already know this.
But still, share.
I kind of was, yes, carrying your baby is like a beautiful thing. It's also a little trendy right now. And then I learned,
No.
it's our milk composition. Out of all the mammals, some mammals have more fat in their milk. Deer, manatees, their milk is cottage cheese. It is so thick that you can eat it, the baby can have some, and then be good for 6 hours. Ours has higher water content and lower fat compared to other mammals. So we are truly made to feed continuously. And so it kind of goes into the like carrier of followers. Yes. And so like goats, similarly, but goats can walk from birth. And our baby cannot walk from birth.
We're basically like kangaroos. We need a pouch. That's what I always say. That's why I just use a pouch personally.
Yes. And I was like, okay, this makes so much sense. Like, it's literally our biology screams that we need to carry our baby and continuously feed them.
Every couple of hours. It doesn't last that long. That's why they'll say formula makes them sleep longer at night. And it's kind of true. Sometimes they can sleep longer and sometimes it doesn't for different reasons. But breast milk is designed to be on demand whenever, at least in the first 6 months. Yeah.
Yes. And it's that foundation that is setting your relationship.
And you know what else is interesting? If breastfeeding is going well, that consult I did today, then it's not that much work. It is hard. I'm not saying it's not hard. It is a complete life change. It's crazy to be feeding a baby 24/7 all of a sudden when you used to not be doing that. But our bodies are designed to do it. And it's when you just accept that that's what it is, it really can be manageable.
Yeah.
Great. And it's a season of life, anything. Yeah.
And it was so funny. I was part of my course. They were talking about like what the benefits of breastfeeding is from providers, what they think, and then the benefits of breastfeeding
for moms.
And one of the moms, the biggest one was like, formula stains clothes. You know what? Like,
that's hilarious. The things we care about. Don't have to wash bottles. Yeah.
You don't have to wash them. You don't have to track. You can just put them to your boob.
Yeah.
And go for it.
I just that it's such an easy way to. I always think it's funny when I start weaning both of these kids. Then my husband has all these ways of putting them to sleep, and I have to learn this now because I literally just nurse every nap and every bedtime for a year plus.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, okay, also, now we're getting off track, but I feel like this is the best thing about the podcast.
Yeah.
The connection between breastfeeding and lower obesity rates. And I do feel this does have to do with this book because
it does.
You're teaching them
preventative care.
Yes. You're teaching them how to be, okay, I'm done. I'm full. I'm getting off the breast. But then with the bottle, they can see all of the milk in the bottle. And I was feeding a baby a couple days ago, not for work, y'all. It was just for fun. But like, I was like, I need for this baby to get
Finish
all
the
the milk
bottle.
so that so his mom is like proud of me,
Yes,
I was like,
that is a
I
thing.
wasn't doing responsive feeding, but that's how it happens. And then your brain's like, oh, I keep eating until it's full.
Yeah,
I mean, for me, I keep eating
until it's
until it's
gone.
gone.
Yeah,
And you bring that into adulthood. So it's
totally.
so interesting the research between
Yeah.
obesity and bottle feeding as well as
And
result.
that's why we love teaching as SLPs. We love teaching responsive bottle feeding because if you do need to bottle feed for part of your baby's day, you can. I taught that mom that this morning because she was, is she going to not breastfeeding after, or if I do bottles or whatever? But she needs her to do some bottles here and there. Well, if you do it responsively and paced and on her side, then you can just make it more similar to.
Okay, so you were saying about paced bottle feeding.
Yes, I was just saying that as SLPs, that's why we love to train people and educate on responsive bottle feeding and being on your side, pacing, following their cues to know when they're full, all of that, because, it is good preventative
Yeah,
medicine,
yeah.
and good for just fullness cues and all of that.
Yes, and I think that we've talked about cues before, but what we want to watch for when we're feeding is displayed hands, wide eyes, looking around, moving their head away from the bottle, that they're communicating something. They're communicating that they're done, I'm full.
Or even I just need a break.
Yeah,
Yeah, I need to breathe for a second. Yeah.
yes,
Or when they're full at the end and they're turning their head away from the bottle, then they've already had 4 ounces. They're probably full.
yeah, right, right. I know, I was listening to something, they were talking about how mom might leave a bunch of formula or breast milk for the caregiver for the day, and then but specify, okay, he typically eats 4 ounces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
I'm
then
leaving extra just in case, but you do not have to finish the bottle. I always say that. Yeah. And that's such a big thing is educating whoever you leave your kids with about what their norms are and everything.
and I think that's so even Dr. Kirshenbaum gives guidelines for caregivers in
That's awesome.
this because it's realistically, okay, how do you nurture when you're not around your baby? How do you teach others to nurture your baby?
Yeah.
How do you teach your spouse to nurture your baby?
That is something I've learned so much as a second time mom is being able to trust other people more, but still making sure I still care that my kids get really high quality care when I'm not there, but
Yeah.
being able to figure out the lines of how to do that and how to show other people that your kids might have different needs than they're used to, if they're a babysitter for someone else.
Yes, absolutely. Just being specific, like, and only you know your baby, like, more than anyone else. You're the one who delivered them, like, you are the one who has been with them,
My
especially as
gosh.
you are nursing them.
All of our conversations always tie back together. Like before the podcast, we were saying how I was dropping my daughter off a at my son's preschool. So for the first time today, and like, I feel the only way that I'm able to do that, even just for a few hours, is because I trust them so much and like know the caregiver, and it's like low ratio and all those things. And like I don't know, I think this book is so cool to just teach you why nurture matters, but also practically show you how to like make that work with the different setups that work for your life, childcare wise, and just like help wise or with their other parent or whatever.
It's that, and yeah, the myths go on, and they're so, all of them are super relevant, but in the appendix, she gives like, nurture in pregnancy. What does it look like to nurture yourself? Feelings inventory. And she also gives instructions for like family members, how to
Wow.
communicate to family members, specifically your parents or your spouse's parents or etc. Okay, this is how we would like this baby to be cared for. And this is what nurture looks because it is a generational thing of you're babying the baby, which is like, oh, duh. But
Well, yeah, they're a baby. Yeah, but they
right,
might think, oh, you're spoiling them. Like they're okay, they're fine, or whatever
right,
their cultural thing they
right.
think is.
Just
Yeah.
let them, yeah. And I feel so many generational, they're taught to override that biological part of them that's a baby is crying. I need to move, I need to do something. If you're, it's ingrained in you to be like, no, fight that. then when your child is responsive, it's almost triggering to that part of you of like, wait, I didn't do
Why
that,
are you doing something differently?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. No One Told Us has a really good podcast about how to help grandparents be the help you need. And if you do have, because you don't want to just be, I'm going to just tell you how to do it. You also want to take some of their advice is good. And you want them to have a role in and this is also their first time being a grandparent. But anyway, I think that's always a really interesting topic is just figuring out how to like create your village because you really do with like babysitters, nannies, daycare, like grandparents, or cutting back your work hours so you can stay home more. Like the reality is you have to figure out how to care for this child.
Yeah.
And it usually can't 100% of the time be you. And if it is, you also have to figure out how to take care of yourself.
So true. And gentleness and compassion is needed for all of it,
Yes.
with whoever you work with, yourself, your spouse, your other caregivers. Yeah, especially if it's your parents. Do you think they're going to take care of your kids if you're not nice to them? You need to keep that relationship good.
Exactly. It's all about relationships. Okay, what else did you get from the book that you would want to share? It's so good.
Well, yeah, I want to invite Dr. Kirshenbaum on.
I know, that would be amazing.
But I think the underlying message is just nurturing your baby from birth from 1 to 3 is preventative medicine. If you want to, provide the best foundation for your child, provide them with nurture. And yeah, and you will see the fruits of it in childhood, in adolescence, etc. And so if you really look at parenthood in that context and feeding in that context, say you need to like change financial situations or something like that so that you can provide them with the best care for, okay, if not 3 years, then start with 1 year.
3 years, 1 year,
Start with
and don't even get us started on that we should have a maternity leave for a year.
Oh my gosh, right.
Because that would already solve so much of it.
Yes.
But yeah, but and what the high nurture looks is, responsiveness, time spent with attachment figures, whoever. You can have multiple attachment figures, but a trusted caregiver that's going to respond and try to figure out what's wrong and
Touch.
Over time it increases kind of how you care for them. Because there's more communication and more ability of the kid. But even I love what you even brought in about bouncers and swings and stuff. We don't need to be just putting our kids over there. And like keeping them occupied or we need to be giving them high sensory experiences and quality language input and contact with caregivers that help them develop their brains and develop their attachments,
Yeah. And you think about when your child's like 16, 17, going through probably really challenging things, and you're like, oh, what? Like, why aren't they telling me or whatever? Those listening skills begin now because they're communicating with you now. And being responsive to them now they're going to be 16 or 17, be like, hey, mom, I have this problem.
Even it's so good to learn in infancy, the whole cue reading and everything, because as toddlers, it just gets more confusing because they start yelling words at you or, and it's never about the words they're saying. It's actually about, I'm dysregulated, I'm hungry, I'm tired, it's whatever's underneath the behavior you learn. And so I feel if you're already taking parenthood from that lens of it is literally my job to try to understand them, co-regulate with them, help them be in a good state to like develop and learn. That's how I see like the role of at least early parenthood, but probably the whole time.
Right? All right. Well, I cannot wait for season 2 with you, Abby.
Thank you for everything you do for our podcast. I'm so excited to continue working together on this and helping new moms and new parents in general.
Let's do it. All right.
Bye.
We're so happy you joined us for this episode of the Feeding Hour. If you are enjoying the podcast, please leave us a review or send it to a friend. It helps these feeding stories go out to the public and to new moms that might feel alone. If you have any feedback for us on how we can improve or would like to share your story, please email us at thefeedinghourpodcast@gmail.com. Also, if this podcast has helped you and you're in a position to give back, you can now support us on Patreon to help keep the Feeding Hour alive. Just $5 a month would really help us to keep it going. The link is in the show notes, and we would so appreciate it. Until next time, happy feeding.